Hi everyone, welcome to the 66th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Zacks, and today I'm joined by photographer Megan Haley.
Hello.
Yeah, and I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Liam Chen for technical directing once again. So Megan, I think you know what we do here. I interview my friends to get to know them better, so how about you tell us a bit about yourself?
So I'm Megan. I'm from Shrewsbury, Mass. And I'm in my second year of the 3+1 film program at Quinnipiac.
And you're from the same town as Anthony
Yes,
Icardi,
I am.
which is interesting. I know Michael Castillo always jokes that it sounds like a Fortnite map.
Yeah, it does.
Can you confirm, does Shrewsbury, Massachusetts look like Pleasant Park?
You know, I can't confirm or deny because I haven't played Fortnite enough.
Yeah, and that kind of kicks things off well, so I'd like to ask you where your passion for film and photography stems from.
Yeah, so I actually had a crazy realization in November when I turned 20 that I've been like writing like my whole life. Like since like even when I found a folder of old things that I wrote like when I was first learning to write of like random like really terribly written like 3 sentences of like a story. And
a log line.
Yeah, essentially. Really bad grammar though. And I still don't know how to spell. But yeah, and then in 6th grade I wrote my first script. I came up with most of my ideas come from dreams.
Interesting.
So I had a dream. And then I was writing it as like a book, but I like see like when I read I like see it like it's a movie. So I was like, you know what, let me try and write a script. So I looked up how to write a screenplay. And then I like wrote it in script format, and it's really bad. I still have it, but it's really bad. And then from there I just basically kept writing scripts. Like I still want to write a book, but yeah, then I got more into visual storytelling as opposed to writing on paper because I'm also dyslexic, so like I can't read. But yeah, in terms of photography, I think that stemmed in high school. I took a traditional photography class, so we like worked with like an actual dark room, and that was really cool. And I learned a lot about lighting from that because if you like don't do it right, then you like can't see half the picture. So that helped me a lot going into film because then I took Intro to Film, Film 2, and Advanced TV in high school. It was really hard. For some reason, Advanced TV in high school was really hard to get into, so I like sent like 3 emails, and the teacher was like, "Yeah, sure," and I was like, "Thank God," because that's what I want to do in college. So yeah, I guess just I kind of always had like storytelling like in the back of my mind, I guess. My
kind of creative journey started with creative writing as well, so it's cool to have that through line. And you talk about the darkroom. Is that kind of like where you like process photos like in water and all that?
Yeah, we like they had one in my school, and there was a really bad day where someone left the lights on it and it destroyed all the paper. So yeah, we were taught like I took 2 classes because they had photography 1 and photography 2, crazy names. And I was like, oh, I really like this, and they like provided you with the camera, so you didn't have to like buy one because if you did, I wouldn't be doing it. No, but yeah, it was really cool because I was always like, oh, digital. Like I never even thought about traditional, and now I like want my own darkroom.
Interesting. And how did that like working in a darkroom? How did that influence you with all like seeing that process of making photos versus digital?
I think it made me think and appreciate more of digital because I was like, oh, this is like so much easier because I don't need to like make sure like if the exposure is slightly wrong in digital, I can just go and edit it. But in a dark room, I have to like you like have a piece of paper, and if one part's overexposed, then you can like put your hands over that part so it doesn't expose as much as the rest. So like if one part is underexposed, you do like the opposite. Manually
focus.
Oh yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes. So if like I just think digital is easier because you can always go back and edit, but a lot of traditional is just trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes me think of like old film editing when like, you know, the term cutting room floor.
Yes.
That was a real thing. So they used to cut the film, and I've always been fascinated by that because I just like can't imagine editing film without Premiere Pro.
Oh, neither can I. I think I would die.
Yeah, not to plug Adobe, but yeah, it's just fascinating that process compared to kind of what we do now, and kind of talking about what you do in that process. What do you look for in crafting the perfect shot?
I wish I was better at doing lighting, because I'm like that's not something I've like dove into. So like more I'm just looking at like composition, like how it looks, how it makes like the character look in terms of like angle, close up. I love close-ups. I also love movement, like a nice arc shot. I love. I did it in my single line for intermediate production.
Awesome.
And everyone was like, oh my god, and I was like, oh my god. And now I do them quite often. Yeah, but it's just more of like looking at how the character is portrayed, because I mean, film is like majority of like how it makes you feel after, so like I'm just always trying to make sure that the character is shown in a way that I want the audience to feel a certain way. And
especially with a photo too, you don't have the benefit of a story behind it. So what's kind of the difference, like you mentioned lighting, what's kind of the difference between like composing a photograph versus composing moving photographs?
I think with photography, well, it depends. I do a lot of sports, so that I'm just looking for the action.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing like portrait, it's a lot about, I focus more on the lighting in photography than I do in film, which like I don't know why. But I guess it just happens. And I guess I get like a little more creative in terms of doing photography, because I can like really set up the shot and I'm staying in one place. So like I like need that one frame to look good. I don't know if this is where I was going, but I love like frame within a frame. So like if I can put something like in the foreground, I like the contrast between what I'm actually looking at being in focus and other things being out of focus around it.
Yeah, like a picture being worth 1,000 words. It adds more words to the essay. What do you prefer between photography and film?
That's a really good question. I don't know, because I think I do them in different genres more often than like the same. So like I love doing sports photography, not so much videography, but also my camera is like terrible with video.
You make it work.
Right? But I feel like film you can do more with. Like you can you can get more into a film, and I like the aspect of the story. Whereas like a photo kind of has one story and you can't really interpret it many different ways. I like that film you can like take in different directions if you want to.
Interesting. And speaking of films that you've made, you're a producer. Well, we know each other because we were producers on Quinnipiac Tonight. So tell us a bit about your Quinnipiac Tonight is a sketch comedy club on campus, kind of like SNL for those who are unaware. So tell us about your time there and just kind of what you enjoy about being a producer.
So I've been there since October, I think, end of October, somewhere around there. I just love making things. So, and I didn't have a production class last semester, so I was like dying. I was like, I need to make film. And then lovely Sophia was like, you should do it because you'd be great at it.
Episode 34 guest Sophia Baselon.
And I was like, you know what, sure. So I did it. It's been great for the most part. There's always technical issues, but like,
as I know, from my experience doing the same thing.
But I just like getting more like experience with having a smaller shoot, because I love smaller shoots because it's more like not intimate but intimate. Like you know the people you're working with. And I also love editing. So I just love every part of being an associate producer, because I get to help write, I plan it, and then I film it and I edit it.
I always say with Quinnipiac Tonight, it's like you're making a short film every week, because these sketches are kind of like short films, so to speak. And you talk about these smaller sets. Like, what is working on Quinnipiac Tonight? How is that helping your filmmaking skills?
I just think it's giving me more of an ability to like know how much I can handle, especially when things do go wrong.
Yeah.
Because my first segment this semester
Mm-hmm.
went horribly wrong and I had to reshoot it. Everything that could have gone wrong except for audio went wrong.
Which is usually the thing that goes wrong.
Yeah, I was like, when I was telling, when I was saying that we needed to reshoot, everyone was like, oh, what went wrong? And I was like, everything but the audio. And they were like, oh. And Ben Wallen was like,
yeah,
how is that possible? And I was like, I have no idea. Yes. So I just think it makes me more like adaptable because I get thrown in random situations and I'm like, oh, I need to figure this out like right now. And also like time management, because like we're supposed to have our segments in before our meeting on Tuesday night. Yeah. And then we get notes and then we have to have another cut in. So like I think like getting it in before then so I can maybe get more notes then have like multiple edits is like great. So I just think like time management, organization, and overall just like my camera work I feel like is better because of it. So
also working around people's schedules, especially the actors, for sometimes you get there and they're like, I have to leave in an hour, and you're looking at your script and you're like, I'm
like, how do you want me to do that? But then you have to. So yeah,
because there's a lot of like juggling those kinds of things, and you're a film director, obviously in title of producer, so you're producing it, you're editing it too, so you kind of get that all-around experience. And in terms of the filmmaking, what do you enjoy the most about it?
I don't really know, because I do genuinely love everything. I think for the most part, maybe not for Quinnipiac tonight, but I love writing. I love writing scripts. But in general, probably cinematography. Like, I love being on camera.
As soon as that question left my mouth, I'm like, I know what she's going to say, but I will say it anyways.
I just like being able to have the creative freedom to, like, move around and, like, design a shot. I don't know. And then also, because I love editing, too, then I just already know, like, how it's looking and what we have to work with. So that makes it easier as an editor. I don't really like editing when people just give me things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's easier when you see, or you were there and you saw it, so it's like in your mind. And what do you enjoy the most about editing?
Not the audio. Everything about audio I hate. Well, that's a lie, because I like doing the music. I don't really know. Just being able to, like, play with simple things like J&L cuts.
Yeah.
Like that. And just... I don't really know. I really don't know.
Because, I mean, there's a rhythm to it, similar to writing. And I feel like that's something when you kind of can hone in on that. That's what usually makes editing, at least the most enjoyable in my own experience.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think everything in my mind goes together, and I'm used to doing, like, part of the whole process, like, each part of the whole process. So, like, I feel like separating them for me is difficult, because I'm like, oh, I did the camera, so I know how it looks. Yeah. And when I was writing it, I already had in my head, like, how I was going to edit almost. So I might need to, like, work on that when I like, go into the real world. But, yeah, just, like, everything.
Yeah, and if you do a little bit of everything, you'll know a little bit of everything when you do get out in the real world, which is what's so important about this. And speaking of real-world experience, I know you're working at the agency here at Quinnipiac, so do you mind explaining what that is and what you're doing for them?
Yes. So the agency is basically, we have 4 clients, and we basically work and do whatever they want in terms of, like, social media, marketing, like, anything along those lines. So I'm a co-VP of the photo and video team. So we have 4 staffs: photo, video, content copy, graphic design, and social media, I think. And so everyone in the agency has a leadership position and then also a staff position. So I'm on the social media staff. So right now, what are we working on? Every staff does, like, works with each client, so no one's, like, set to one client, which I really like, because then if you get stuck with a client that you're not really that interested in, you're not, like, you don't hate doing it.
Yeah, like you're not bound to it.
Basically, like so far, like I went to an event for one of our clients, the Connecticut Greyhound Association, and they basically have greyhounds, the dog, and they like are up for adoption or to foster. So they had like a fun run event where basically people would just bring their dogs and they could run. And me, 2 other people from my staff, and then 2 social media people went and we got video and photos. And basically now we're just using that to make social media posts. And we're working a lot with the CGA people to like figure out exactly what they want for that. So a lot of like the agency is like trying to work between different staffs, because at the beginning of the semester we like had a little bit of issues with like who was doing what and like communicating between each other, because we were just getting thrown a lot of information, and we were like, oh, what on earth are we doing? So we're like figuring that out now, which is great. And then the agency itself is always a client, so we like work with Professor Powers and Cisco to like market ourselves. So on Wednesday I did an interview with Presley. You know Presley?
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So me and Presley did an interview with Powers and Cisco, basically because the applications are closing this coming Friday, next Friday. And we need to basically push out as much content as we can. So we did a little interview of like, oh, what is the agency? And don't stress about it, because there may be a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So we're in the process of editing that into a long format video, and then also individual reels with each question.
Awesome.
And then in class on Monday, I'm doing interviews with individual people in the agency to basically do the same thing.
Fascinating. So basically, agency, you work with clients, you make social media content for them. Because, I love my Instagram reels.
Oh, yes.
I love my short form content. But I'm also curious, I know you do that with the aforementioned Sophia. So what kind of what prompted you to join the agency?
I just mainly wanted to get like hands-on and like real world experience, because like doing film stuff in my classes is like great, and like making these projects is like a lot of fun, but like it's not like in the agency I get like real feedback from the clients. So like if they hate something, they'll be like, this is terrible, like fix it. So like having that is like great, because it's just a different set of feedback. And also it's not like so real world that if I mess up I get fired. Which is important at our age. So like having that, like it's like a buffer between like, oh, just project and like having a real job.
And that's especially important to be doing work like this outside of classes, because in classes you might just get like a B- grade, but in the real world, or in this context of like the agency, you get actual feedback. So it's more stuff that you can take with you as you move forwards. But we've been talking a lot about your work, but how about we talk about you more, and you tell us like what's a fun fact about yourself, something people might not know about you?
Well, I kind of already said I'm dyslexic. That's usually my go-to. I've broken 4 bones.
Really?
Yeah.
What bones?
This one on my hand. That was the most recent. I was playing soccer, and it's so embarrassing because it was at practice, at a scrimmage with like this boys team that was like 3 years younger than us, and he just happened to run into my hand at the right like angle that it just like clean broke my. And now my bone overlaps.
Wow. And
my finger's a little shorter. Yeah. And then I broke my wrist when in 2nd grade. On the last day of school, I fell off a swing. And then I was in a cast for the whole summer. That was not fun. And I broke my rib. That hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I don't recommend.
Especially breathing, right?
Yeah, it's terrible. I was, this is also really embarrassing. I was really sick, and I coughed, and I broke it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it, so it was damaged beforehand, and then the cough
like I was
did the rest?
I was sick for like a month, and it was really tragic. And then I broke one in my foot. But I didn't have to, that didn't really affect, well, I couldn't play soccer, but it didn't affect me in terms of I didn't have to wear a boot or really do anything. I just had to wait because it was like a really tiny bone.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So you've gone through it.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
been wounded.
Oh, yes. Very wounded.
I was curious about the cough because I've never heard of a cough.
Dude, they didn't even know what I had.
Hmm.
They were just like, oh, it's like I had like a chest, lung, and sinus infection all at once. But they were like, oh, we don't know exactly what it is. And I was like, okay, like, you're a doctor. This is your job. Yeah, so we basically just had to ride it out. That was a terrible year for me.
Yeah.
I was sick. I was like, I don't know what happened to my immune system. My junior year of high school just killed me.
Yeah, God gives his biggest battles to his strongest soldiers.
And I haven't been sick since. No, I have, unfortunately.
Never that sick, I bet.
Oh, no. No. I always get a sore throat, but once a year. Usually on Christmas.
Yeah. The worst time.
Yeah. Like right after Christmas.
It's something else. I know, I always see it on your Instagram story. You're a big racing fan.
Yes, I am.
Explain
Hence
that, because I noticed that too.
Hence the hoodie.
Yeah.
That's like a more recent development. And more recent, I mean like the last like 2 years. I just like watching F1.
Interesting.
I hate NASCAR. Because I just go in a circle. But F1 I love.
Another left turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I got like big into like actually learning about the drivers and like the teams and stuff like that. Don't ask me any questions.
Okay.
Because I won't know off the top of my head.
I wouldn't have any questions to ask.
Okay, great. But yeah.
Give me all of Lewis Hamilton's stats right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, I'm kidding.
Dude, imagine. No, I haven't actually looked deep into him. He's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I know that's like one of the 3 names I know. So, because my sister's actually like really big into F1 too as well.
Huh.
I'm a big Verstappen fan, which is very
I don't know who that is.
not controversial in the
racing
world, but people don't like him because he wins.
Yeah, which typically happens with people who win.
Yeah.
So what's like appealing about racing? Out of curiosity.
I don't really know. I mean, I like cars.
I
don't know a lot about cars.
Yeah.
Because my dad's not a car guy. And my brother's also not a car guy. So I didn't like grow up in cars, but I want a McLaren when I'm rich. I want a McLaren. I don't know. I guess it's just the thrill of driving fast.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to find like an overlap with
There
like
is
photography
there
and
might
then
not
like
be. Well, I
or
would
videography.
I would love to do photo of like a race. Like that would be so sick. I would need a way better camera.
Yeah.
And a way better lens. However, we'll get there eventually.
They would just look like flashes of light coming by.
No, there'd just be nothing. There'd literally be nothing. I'd take a picture, the card would be gone. Just be the background.
Yeah. Because I know, I think Brad Pitt has a racing movie coming out.
Yes, he does.
In the summer at some point. Like, that's sick. 'Cause that's a movie about racing.
Yes, it is.
So that'll be the Megan Haley circled on the calendar.
Oh, yeah. No, it is on it actually is on my calendar.
Really?
I was like, Dad, can we go see this? Like, when I'm home? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the Megan Haley movie. And now kind of moving onwards, we talked about your love for racing. So I'll be asked, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
I strongly dislike a lot of things.
Okay.
That's like the opposite of most people that come on here. They're like struggling to find something they don't like. But I honestly, I respect the just like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff I don't like.
It's like, the most like general thing is like people that aren't like, not like socially aware, but like physically aware of like themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, and specifically, people that are driving. That just don't realize that like I'm also a car on the road, because I think I've had my license for like 2 years, and the amount of times that I've had a car driving straight at me on my side of the road is ridiculous to me. Like, coming back from winter break, I was out on Mount Carmel Road, like by Hogan. I'm coming down that hill right there, and it's like 9 p.m. We just had another little incident turning. Someone turned straight into my lane at a light, and I was like, girl, what are you doing? So car was just driving straight at me, and I had to lay on my horn, and I'm like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Look at the road. Stuff like that annoys me. I also hate spiders.
Interesting.
And bugs in general. And snakes. I don't do snakes.
Yeah.
I have nightmares about snakes.
Snakes. Wow.
Terrible.
They are like the devil's animal. So.
I just like feel like I don't even like garden snakes. But also like I'm just scared. Like I have chickens.
Oh really?
Yeah. And they're like up a little hill in my backyard. And oftentimes in the summer there'll be like a snake on the path, and I'm just scared they're gonna get like it's gonna like jump and go in my boots. Like such an irrational fear.
There's a snake in my boot.
Yes. Yeah, I hate snakes. Hate spiders. They always gravitate towards my room too. Earlier last semester, I had a bug in my bed. I like washed my sheets and I was going to put them back on, and there was a bug in my bed. And I was like, "Oh my God, Sophia!" And she was like, "I don't do those either." And I literally, it was like midnight, and I went to my neighbor's door and I knocked on their door, like fully in my like sleep shorts and my t-shirt. My feet were out. It was crazy.
The dog's out. That's how you knew it was serious.
It was so serious. And I was like, "Hey, so random question, but can you like come kill this bug for me?" And my bed is lofted because I live in Pearl and the rooms are small, so I have to loft my bed. Yeah, so I hate bugs.
Did they get the bug?
No. Well, he came, but he smacked it and then it fell and then we couldn't find it. So I slept on the couch.
I was gonna say that's even worse because you don't know if it's.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where it is anymore.
Now it wants revenge. Like
Exactly. So I slept on the couch, and then the next day after I got back from class, I found it crawling up the side of my bed. And then thank God my roommates were like awake, and they do bugs. The rest of them. So I was like, "Hey, can like one of you come kill this bug?" And they were like, "Oh my God, of course!" And I was like, "Oh, thank God." So yeah, I slept on the couch because there was a bug in my bed. Anyways. What do I love?
Yeah, I was about to ask. I'm like,
on a very surface level, I love chicken broccoli Alfredo. Favorite food, and my mother makes it amazing. On a slightly deeper level, I love my cat. I also love my dog, but like she doesn't care about me as much.
Okay.
Like I'm like the.
It's usually the opposite.
Right?
Yeah.
But like my dad and my sister are the favorite for my dog.
Okay.
And I'm like second to last with my mother. But then I'm like the cat's favorite. I go home and she's waiting at the door for me.
Aw.
Yeah.
What's your cat's name?
May.
May.
And then my dog's name is April.
Ah.
Yeah. Getting my dog was an April Fool's joke.
Really?
Yeah, my dad walked in. And I don't remember why, but me and my two siblings were home from school for some reason. I knew we had school, but we didn't go for some reason. And he walks in and I was like, "Oh my God." And he goes, "Oh, we're just dog sitting for your aunt." And I was like, "You're joking." And he goes, "Oh no, I'm kidding." And I was like, "You can't do that to me." Like we like wanted a dog for like our whole life. Like it was always top thing on our Christmas list. And then yeah, we got one. And she's gorgeous. She's a little baby.
Oh.
She steals my spot on the couch all the time, but it's fine. I'm just the middle child. It's how that works. No, but I love my cat. She'll like sleep on my chest.
Oh.
Yeah. And then on a more deeper level.
Okay. It's like the layers of the earth.
Yeah, basically. I love like spending time with my brother. I have a younger brother, 2 years younger. And I have an older sister. I love spending time with her too. But like, I don't know, I'm like very protective. So like, I think I have more of a like
older sibling feel.
Yeah. Than I do with my sister because she's the older one. So I'm like, you're supposed to protect me. But like, we also don't spend a lot of time together because he plays hockey. Well, he used to play hockey. He's a senior in high school and he's not going to college because he went to trade school.
Cool.
So he's not like continuing hockey like for real. He'll probably play in a men's league or something. But over the summer we have a little place in New Hampshire with like my cousins and my aunts and all that. And we like go on bike rides, and that's like my favorite thing. Really? Yeah.
You enjoy cars and bikes.
Cars and bikes.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about biking?
I love the wind. And also it's like a mini workout.
Yeah. And scenic.
Yes.
Which I'm sure you enjoy.
Oh yes, I love being outside.
Yeah, you can like photo farm out there while you're biking.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And very random note when you talk about the driving. Do you get road rage?
It's very internal for me.
Okay.
Someone has to, like, really do something to, like, piss me off for me to, like...
Activate?
Yeah. Because I, like, barely even honk. Like, I only will lay on my horn if you're driving straight at me.
Yeah, I feel like that's reasonable.
That's, like, I need to, or else I'm going to die.
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, someone... I was coming out of Chick-fil-A, like, 2 years ago. Like, it was around the time I, like, got my license. And this old man... just not like old, like he wasn't like old where like I feel bad and I'm like, oh, it's okay. He was like 50. He's like my dad's age. He's like 55, and he just like he had a stop sign and he just pulled out in front of me, didn't even like no looking at all, didn't even acknowledge my existence, and I was like, I am in a big van. What do you want from me? I drive a minivan because my mom has a minivan. I don't have my own car. And I was like, sir. So I tailgated a little bit. Yeah, but no, I don't usually, because I'm like, oh, what if like this goes horribly wrong and I just crash? But people get, someone pulled out in front of me and then they got mad at me. Yeah. And I was like, and he got out of the car. Oh. And I was like, I'm just a girl. Like, I need you to get back in because like I don't know what I'm doing. But my dad was in the car and he was about to get out, and I was like, Father, sit back down, please. Like, let's just go home. So yeah, I don't usually. Yeah, I don't usually. It's usually internal. Usually I just say like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Maybe you should like cut your losses and just become a race car driver.
Honestly, I have thought about it. I've really thought about it. No, it's like too late now. It's okay.
I feel like it's never too late.
No, that's true. I like go-karting fulfills my need for racing.
Need to just hit other people with vehicles?
Yes, basically. So just an occasional crash out.
Occasional crash out. I feel like we touched base on a lot of things with that question. And to continue to do that, I'd like to ask you, what are some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
Professionally, eventually, I want to, like, have my own, like, mini production company. Just to make my own stuff. Like, nothing big. Like, I don't want a huge thing. But I think the goal is just to write, direct, and produce.
Like what you're doing now?
Yeah, basically, essentially. I really, 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 really don't want to go to LA. Like, I don't want to live there.
Interesting.
I really don't want to live there. I hate LA. I like despise it.
I don't know why. I just found that so funny. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah. A strong dislike for LA. That's like one of the first LA haters we have on the podcast. I respect it though.
The irony, because Liam and I both have been there.
Yeah. I want to go and be there for like maybe a year. But if I end up living there for like the majority of my life, I will be very upset. I just hate cities. Yeah. And people. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like a lot of people in one. I'm just like.
Small town.
I like country. Yeah. Give me fields and mountains and river.
I will say though, when I was in LA, I didn't see one spider or snake.
Okay.
So that it might be the place for you. I don't know.
It might be for me. You know, I'll try it out. Yeah. For 6 months to a year. Yeah. See what happens.
In the QLA program. What else would you say you don't like, or that takes you away from LA?
I think it's really just that it's a busy city.
Yeah.
And I also like driving. But, like, what's the point if I'm just going to be in traffic for most of the time? Like, then it's, like, not fun.
And the same applies to New York, where most people don't drive.
I dislike New York more than I dislike LA.
Okay.
So, so like, we'll go to LA before we go to New York. Yeah. Yeah. I like countryside. I like quiet nature.
Interesting.
Not busy city.
Yeah, so directing, producing, editing, and then being not in the country, not in the city.
Yes.
Those are the hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And talking about films, talking about movies, what are some of your favorite movies?
I love Good Will Hunting, which is like a very basic answer, but I just love the characters and like story in general.
I don't know if anyone's ever said that on here.
Really?
For that question, no.
I swear to God, in like any film class that I've been in, and they're like, oh, what's your favorite movie? At least like 4 people say it.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah. Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
But also being like, I'm like an hour out of Boston, but like knowing Boston and the characters are from Boston, so I'm like
very Bostonian.
I get the vibes that are going on. Yeah, and then I love, for absolutely no reason, because it's like it's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie. The Gray Man. It's a with
the Netflix movie, Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans.
It's a generic action movie. That's all. There's just little bits that are funny.
Yeah. Chris Evans with like the highway patrolman mustache.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what is this new look? But me and my dad have watched that movie like at least 29 times. Just for fun. For no reason. We'll occasionally just quote it. And there's a song that plays that I won't sing, but we often he'll just send me the YouTube link to the song sometimes, and I'm like, okay, Father. I guess I'll go watch the movie. Yeah, I think those are
the main ones.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting and The Grand. I feel like nobody else would ever have those two movies together
because they're just so like
different. Yeah.
It's just generic action movie, and then
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And overall, Megan, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on here.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And before we go, do you have any plugs or motivational quotes for the audience? Yeah, right there.
Follow my Instagram, MegX Media. There's some dots in there somewhere, I think. And then follow Zicast on everything.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
That's it?
I have no motivational. There's nothing coming to brain.
Oh, I mean, that's totally fine. I sprung that on you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, and overall, Megan, thank you so much for coming on. It's always fun working with you and seeing you grow as a photographer, as a filmmaker, and it's always fun just seeing your work on social media or with Quinnipiac tonight, and I'm excited to continue seeing what you do.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great time.
I'm glad. And as always, this is Ryan Zicast with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.